Welcome to the Daddyhood Rocks podcast with John Wolford and Brandon Miller. We are here to encourage you, empower you, and strengthen you so you can engage, level up, and have fun being a dad. We are going to have guests, deep conversations, hilarious stories, and insights that will give you the strength you need so you can be the dad you gotta be. And now, here are your hosts, John Wolford and Brandon Miller.
Welcome to another episode of the Daddyhood Rocks podcast. We are so excited to be here with you guys for yet another great episode. John, what a great interview with our guest. Just some fun times together. And here we are barreling towards we're on the last lap of this season 1, and it keeps on getting better. I feel like we're putting stuff out there that is motivating and inspiring. And again, just for the purpose of helping dads everywhere to engage, to level up, and to have fun being dads. What a great episode we have, John. I know that there are certain topics that a lot of our guests will touch on, and then there are some topics where it's not as prevalent. And we cover a lot of things today. We talk about tweens. We cover rough relationships with dads, which was really eye-opening. And a whole bunch of other stuff. It was a hard-hitting, wonderful episode. John, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for our listeners to be able to engage with this episode and listen to this. Nate Clark is just phenomenal. He's just a fantastic human being. He's an 82nd Airborne Division veteran himself, so I'm partial to him, of course. But no, he's a great dad. He does a lot good. He's a great dad, though, and he's made sure to keep his daughter at the very center of what he does constantly. And that includes, we talk about co-parenting in this interview. Our listeners will hear that includes that co-parenting. He keeps her at the center.
So, John, any last comments before we shift gears or twist gears or grind gears or flip gears, whatever we're doing with gears? Any last things before we pass things over to our interview?
Yeah, just don't. And this goes for any time we have a podcast. Don't settle for just us at the beginning of the podcast. Yeah, sometimes we'll throw some things out there, but every interview we have, we're selecting these people because they've got great things to give. And so don't stop here. Keep going. Listen to this interview because it's something that maybe you don't need to hear, but maybe a friend needs to hear, and you can point them in the right direction. So enjoy listening to Mr. Nate Clark. We are here with Nate Clark. Nate, thank you so much for being on. We're incredibly excited to have you on. Introduce us to yourself and your family as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on, guys. My name's Nate Clark. I live in Washington, D.C. with my wife, Samantha, my wife of 3 weeks, Samantha, and our daughter, Avery, who is 12. Big time fan of the show, fellas.
Awesome.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Man, that's makes me feel all sorts of special. So thank you. Awesome. Well,
yeah,
great.
Definitely.
Well, good. So you are a lawyer there in DC. So tell us kind of your law story, like how you got into doing law, and what about it do you love? What makes it special for you?
Most definitely. So the Army left me in Washington, D.C. 12 years ago, kind of, wondering what to do next. And I think like most vets here in the D.C. area, I kind of gravitated towards defense contracting for a while. And, eventually I wanted to stop getting deployed all the time, right? Be a dad and, settle down a bit. So I was working as a private investigator, and I'm working with a law firm. and we got torn up on this case. The lawyer judge just reamed this guy, just dressed him down. And he and I are at the bar later that night, kind of commiserating, licking our wounds. And, I told him that I kind of agreed with the judge, and he wasn't feeling that so much, and kind of said, hey man, you think you can do it better? I'd love to see you try. And so that was it. I think going to law school was something that was kind of, it was an idea that I had on and off again. And, it always kind of appealed to me. It was just, I didn't really think like I was smart enough, and I made a lot of excuses why I shouldn't try. And, eventually I just, I said, man, I got to go for it. I got to do this. And, I have a lot of friends, from my hometown that just, legal problems, lots of veterans, dealing with, legal issues coming back from deployments. And, I was like, man, this is an area where I can make a difference, so I had to like kind of stop making excuses and just go for it. And I did. And man, it's been one of the best decisions I ever made, really and truly. I'm learning a lot. I'm having an opportunity to work on interesting, complex issues that matter to people. On the worst day of somebody's life, I get to be involved and help, have a positive impact for people who need somebody to look out for them. And that's so important, I think.
You have Avery, and she's kind of at a very interesting age for every kid. How are you navigating the confusion and all that emotion that comes with the beginning of adolescence?
Carefully. Yeah, man, it's a weird age, dude. Like she's pushing so hard to like be an adult and be, more mature. And, like John, I know you just bought a new house. We did also. We just moved into our new house last weekend. And I'm helping my daughter get her new room put together. And, we've got all her like cute posters and stuffed animals and stuff from the old house. She's like, nah, Dad, we're not putting those up in here. She's like, that's little kid stuff. I'm not a little kid anymore. And it's tricky, man, because it breaks your heart. You're like, yo, this is my baby. Like, I'm not ready for you to be an adult. Yeah, what are you doing? But you just gotta kind of, I'm just kind of going with the flow, man. It's, the little glimmers of her. They're like, I'm getting a little peek of like what the adult form of her looks like, and seeing the things that excite her and seeing the things that she still has just like a natural curiosity or interest in. I just try to nurture that and be involved with that. First of all, I got lucky because like my daughter, like she is so chill. Like ever since she was a baby, she is just so chill. She has such a mild nature to her. Like her like outward sort of presentation of herself, like she could be spunky and like kind of, but like deep down, she is just like such a mild, chill person. And we've just always been able to like have a really meaningful, close connection. Like we can just sit down, we can talk, when she's getting frustrated, like when I see those like teenage parts coming through, I can be like, hey, whoa, sit down, let's talk, and like it works like an 80s sitcom, like, hey, let's just sit down, pop a squat, let's chat it out, and it works. I think the trick is that like when she's getting chaotic, I just try to like, all right, I'm going to be cool enough for both of us right now. We're going to talk this out. And I think that's the key, man. Just, patience and giving her some space when she needs it and trying to connect with her where I can. I think that's how we're getting through it.
Man, that's awesome. Now, yeah, as far as like the posters and, the unicorns and stuffed animals, John can relate to that. He's really having this crisis moment of, what am I going to transfer to my new bedroom? And so I think he's going to put most of it up, but he's in that same scenario. So
correct. I'm actually painting the ceiling fan as a unicorn horn. So
nice,
man. So sorry, John. So Nate. So I mean, it's really clear. I mean, you have a great relationship with your daughter, which is really cool to hear about. Now, for all of us as dads, on the flip side of that coin, we're also sons, and you take the good with the bad, and we are deeply grateful for, prior to you coming on, you've been super upfront communicating about your situation with your own father, and you are super clear that it's not a good relationship. What are you willing to share as far as how that scenario has played out and how that's impacting you now as a dad?
My biological father was not around when I was growing up, and I found out, I guess, like right around the time that I was graduating from high school, that he was going to jail. I was on my way to the Army. He was going to jail. He had been pretty heavily involved with like trafficking drugs, and like this wasn't a total surprise to me. Like he wasn't around, but like it's a small town, and I sort of, you hear things. And, it just, I left for the Army in 2001, it's 20 years ago. And that was like the last conversation he and I had, and then he went to jail, and the conversations we had prior to that weren't really great ones. And last year, I think it was, or maybe, no, I'm sorry, it was 2 years ago. My now wife, then girlfriend, we were sitting around one night, and we were just kind of talking, and she asked me if I knew when he was getting out of jail. And I looked into it a little bit, and it turned out that there was a possibility he was going to get out soon. And that gave me like a tightness in my chest. I was like, ooh, that makes me feel weird. Why? And it turned out there was just all this unresolved stuff. I call it the soggy boxes. You got to sort out your soggy boxes. All right. Like if you have a storage unit, you got your cardboard boxes. I used to have the storage unit. I was so like dedicated to going in there, like in between deployments, picking stuff up, putting them on pallets, making sure none of the boxes were damaged or getting wet. And, I just kind of felt like, that's how I'm going to, you have these soggy boxes that are sitting in here, and you got to just deal with them from time to time. And nobody wants to go in that dank storage unit and like lift these heavy boxes up and deal with all that, but you have to. Yeah. Otherwise, they cause problems, right? So my wife asked me about when he was getting out of jail, and I was like, man, that makes me feel so weird, right? Like, and I started thinking on it, and I was like, I got to reach out to this dude. I gotta find out who he is and what he's about. I gotta find out what his intentions are when he gets out. And so I did. I sent him a letter, and I shared those with John. I sent him a letter and just kind of like introduced myself and put it out there. I was like, yo, man, like, I don't really know you. I don't really know what your plans are when you get out. I'm not turned off to the idea of having a relationship with you, but like, I got questions, and I want to talk. And eventually he responded back to me, and it was just, it was a garbage response. You know what I mean? It was just, it turns out like, being in prison did not rehabilitate him, did not do good things for him as a man, as a person, certainly not as a father. He kind of like putting a lot of blame on me for us not having a relationship. And, it's just kind of the exact opposite of what you would hope for in that situation. And, I kind of took some time. I thought on it and responded back to him again. And then eventually just kind of ended with like, yo, look, I mean, clearly there's no relationship to be had here. One of the weird things he dug in on was that I addressed him by his first name, Victor. And he shot back and was like, you don't call me Victor, you call me Dad. And I was like, bro, you ain't been around for like 35 years. You ain't gonna tell me to call you Dad, right? And I actually, my mom did end up getting married again, to an amazing fella. His name's Carl. He's my stepdad, and to me, that's my dad. that dude stepped in and, you know, took me in as his own son. You know, I was like 12, I think, at the time. And, you know, I couldn't imagine where, I mean, he flew up here from Texas, you know, because we were moving in this new house. He flew up here. He's been helping me, you know, nonstop, like unpack boxes, paint walls, you know, do the windows and the doors and the whole thing. I mean, the guy is just amazing. And to me, when Victor made that demand, I was like, look, you know, that would be a slap in his face. I'm not going to call you dad. You and I can have a relationship, but it ain't that, you know? So, I mean, that whole thing kind of fell apart. And I was like, you know, at first it disappointed me. You know, first it made me angry, and then I was disappointed. But then I kind of got to a place with it where I was like, it's not my job to fix this guy. You know, I mean, he is who he is, and I am who I am, and that's just how it's going to be. You know, I gave him an opportunity to sort of, you know, connect and redeem, maybe meet his granddaughter, you know, and that's just not the life that he has for himself. And it's, you know, I can't let him rent free space in my head, you know, like I made my peace with it, and I'm moving on and taking what positive I can from that experience. And to be honest with you, I'm glad I did it. You know, I'm glad that I took that chance. I'm glad that I reached out. I'm glad that I had the courage to face something down, because now when I think about when is this dude going to get out of jail and what's going to happen, I don't get that tightness in my chest. You know, I don't have those feelings anymore. I know that I said what I needed to say, and that if he should show up, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But you know, we know where one another stands. So, you know, it was all in all, I mean, it was a good experience. I've managed to salvage something positive out of what was a uniquely sucky ordeal. And I'm hoping that others out there who are hearing this, you know, are hearing that the bottom line is like, you know, take that chance. You know, if you have something that's causing you to feel tightness in your chest, if you got soggy boxes that need to be organized and sorted out, man, deal with that stuff, because that'll hurt you in the long run if you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think of this relationship or really non-relationship, and by the way, thank you for being so open about that. Thank you for sending me those letters to read. They were beautiful, not because they were nice, but they were beautiful because you were able to throw all of your emotions on the table at him and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is where we're at. And it ended with that too. It started with that and it ended with that. And that was that. So when you think of this kind of non-relationship, I guess you can call it, how has it impacted, we like to call it Daddyhood here. How has it impacted your Daddyhood story?
Yeah. A lot of ways, man, a lot of ways. You know, like for one, I thank you for one, for just taking the time to like read those. Like I felt kind of weird about sending them to y'all, but you know, I felt like it was maybe an important part of what we're trying to do here. You know, like if I can take like some ownership of your podcast for a second, it's an important part of what we're trying to do here. I think,
dude, you're part of the dad collective.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And so I just, you know, thank you for sort of, you know, reading through that stuff and giving it like kind of the review that you have, the both of you. I appreciate it. It's kind of nice to be able to sit here and talk about it with other men, other fathers. You know, and for me, like I was transparent with my daughter throughout that whole thing. Like I let her read those letters too. And, you know, we've had some really deep conversations about those feelings and about the role of a father in their child's life. And, you know, to see her, like she already knows that, like, I'm a good dad, but like for her, like she's never seen like a bad dad, you know? And so for her to see it and be like, wow, there are dudes out there like this guy. That's crazy. And she's looking at me like, how did you come from that? Because you're an amazing father, you know? And so like, that was like a nice, like, you know, I mean, it was a nice sentiment that she's pushing towards me, but it was nice for me to be able to sort of see that thing come full circle.
Now for those listeners, for those dads who either don't have a dad or who have a really crappy relationship with their dad. What advice do you have for them?
You know, for one thing, like it's never too late. You know, it's never too late to change that dynamic, to start doing things in a different way. And I think like, you know, like I think there's some dads who don't have that good relationship and they wish they did. Like, go try, give it a shot. You know, there's some guys who don't have that good relationship and they think that it like sort of predetermines the kind of father that they're going to be. And to that, I'm like, you know, I can't, that's not been my experience. And I don't think that it has to be, you know, anyone else's experience. Like, you have an opportunity to do things differently, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's no manual like, hey, flip to chapter 58 if you didn't have a dad, and here's what you should do, you know. And I think that's part of the problem. It would be easier if we had that, but we don't. All we have is other men's experiences, and that's part of what we're here for. Is to
John, 6 kids, man. You should write that manual.
we're
be the author of that
getting there. I'm on chapter 3. I've been a little bit busy, but no, we. You know, that's part of what we're here for, though, is to you know, gain from other dads' experiences. And part of that includes dads who haven't had dads. How do you navigate that? I can't imagine, because I always had a dad. And so I can't imagine going through that. So thank you for being willing to talk about that. Now, I mean,
it's an unfortunate thing. There are a lot of, you know, young men growing up these days who haven't had a father figure in their life at all. You know, and I would be remiss if I didn't point out there is some correlation between a lot of the clients that I represent. I'm a criminal defense attorney. You know, a lot of the clients that I represent, they do come from fatherless homes. And so it is, you know, it is kind of a pattern, a sociological pattern here in America, where you do have a lot of fatherless homes producing children who are growing up and not having somebody to show them those vital things that a father provides to their children's life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's multiple failures there within just our system and the way the U.S. does things. There's multiple failures that have led to that and led to this. You said about it, there is a correlation. Can we prove causation? Maybe not. But there's definitely a correlation between fatherless homes and crime, and it's heartbreaking. And so if we can impact even one life with this podcast, that's huge for us. And that one life might turn into another 10, and that those 10 might turn into another 100. That's the goal. So I appreciate you just opening up and giving us all of that to feed off of, because it was yes, bow to Nate. Yes, that it's truly amazing. Now I'm going to switch gears a little bit, talk about something both exciting for me and exciting for you. I graduate nursing school tomorrow. It's a huge achievement for me. Super excited.
Yes. Way to go, man.
You went through law school as a dad. That is huge. I again bow to Nate, because that's phenomenal. I can't imagine going through that. So for dads who are wanting a change of pace, or they haven't gone to school at all, what's your advice?
Well, again, you know, first of all, I do have to point out again, I had a really great support network. Like my wife took on so much to make that happen. You know, like a lot of meals she was putting together. I mean, there were like nights where I was studying, she'd like remind me to eat. You know, like, you know, I mean, she's been a rock through this whole thing. You know, I know that not everybody listening to this necessarily has somebody like that in their life. But for my story, you know, part of my success story is, you know, my wife was just incredible throughout the whole thing. You know, but if and it's like a thing with a lot of veterans. Like I do a lot of veteran mentorship type stuff. And I meet a lot of vets who like, they want a new career, or maybe they even know that they want to go back to school. They're not really sure how to get started, or like it's sort of in them. They want to do it, but they don't want to do it. They just kind of need that little do it. I think for one, it's like it's never too late. Just like I was talking about with the dad stuff. I know. For me, when I started with law school, I was 32, 33, something like that. And I was like, I can't do this, man. I'm already too old. Like, it's too late for me. You just got to get that out of your head. Like, it's never too late. You can always write a new chapter in your book. And like, I used to do this weird thing, though. Like, I used to, like, come up with excuses, like, I'm not smart enough, or like, I don't have the money, or how am I going to do that? Or, how am I going to get to the school? And like, my daughter has stuff going on and I'm too busy. And like, I used to make all these crazy excuses. And I think like one night I just had like a really honest conversation with myself, like after that whole exchange with that lawyer, where I was like, why not me? Like, why can't I do this? Like, I was like afraid of failing is what it was. I was so afraid to like want something and to put myself out there that I was creating tons of reasons that I didn't have to do it, where it wouldn't be my fault if it didn't happen. And it was just a process of like getting over myself. And I think a lot of people do that. I think, and like some people do it just because it's like, I'm playing it safe. And that's not like a terrible thing if you're a father, like, it's not my time anymore. It's my kid's time now. Like, I had my chance to do the thing that I was going to do. Now my thing to do is just be the support for my kid. And that's like a really like noble way to not do the thing that you're supposed to do. Like, it's a really good excuse for not doing the thing that you're supposed to do, I guess. No, I mean, like, I get it. I do. But I think that there are so many people out there who just need that little nudge, like, yo, you are good enough. You're not too old. You can have this. If you want this, go get this. And so for me, that's what it was for me. And that's the advice that I would give to anybody out there who was thinking on something like that.
Man, that's awesome.
You also don't have to be that smart to be a lawyer. I'm going to say it. You do not have to be that smart.
Good to know. You're not self-identifying though, right?
No, of course not.
Well, that's awesome.
Being a viewer of our podcast, that a version of this question gets asked almost every interview.
Yes.
So I had to ask the last question of the interview. We're all about the embarrassing and the disgusting, as you well know. So what is your most embarrassing or disgusting moment as a dad?
Okay. All right. All right, so I have like one each. I'll do them quick. I have one each, and I'll give you the embarrassing one first, and then I'll give you the disgusting one. Is that the order? Yeah, that's how I'll do it. All right. So my embarrassing one, Avery was really young. Like she was walking, she was talking, but like she was like young, like I could lose you in a grocery store young. So we're in the grocery store, we're checking out, and she is doing that thing that all children do. Can I have this? Can I have this? Pulling stuff, and I'm like, it's very busy. I just got out of work and like tons of groceries up on the cart, and I'm like, Avery, knock it off, right? And I'm trying to pay, and she like keeps trying to put stuff up on the thing. And I'm like, I'm putting them back. I'm like, Avery, knock it off. And she goes, Dad, please don't sell me on Craigslist. and the cashier like stops what she's doing, and she's looking at me, and I was like, it's an inside joke. But I used to tell her that all the time, like jokingly, like, you don't calm down, I'm going to sell you on Craigslist, or, I think a couple of times I even threatened to let her meet her older brother, you know what I mean? Like, So when that came out, like in front of the employee there, it was awkward moment.
I love it.
My disgusting story. So when she was around the same age, we were at a barbecue at one of her friends' houses. I have to say, like, so she's playing with the other little kids, doing whatever, and I'm hanging out on the patio, and these other parents are all like, a few years older than me, very like affluent. I was already feeling like I didn't know them that well. It was like kind of uncomfortable to like be at their house, everything's really nice, and so it started, things are kind of wrapping up, and I'm like, all right, well, thanks for having me over. I'm gonna go collect my kid, and I'll see you guys later and all that stuff. And I go upstairs to where the kids are, and they have decided to empty out the diaper thing for the youngest kid. They emptied out like the little diaper genie and had been like throwing diapers at each other upstairs, and there's like stuff everywhere on the walls, on the furniture, on the kids. And and I'm the first parent. I think I'm the first parent who's like come to the realization of what's going on upstairs.
You're a first responder.
So I call out the window. I'm like, hey, I won't say her name. I'm like, can you come up here, please? And I very quietly like kind of started getting my kid together, and like, just sort of like as she made the discovery of what was happening, I was already like in my car driving my disgusting daughter back home to get the bath. We did not get invited to any more cookouts at that house. And I actually don't think that we've even, I think maybe we got like a Christmas card from them once since, and that's been it.
No, I guess you could call that a crappy predicament.
That's what I called it then, and that's how I refer to it now. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, we've had all kinds of, whether it's magic poop stories or exploding babies. Now we have poopy diaper fights. I love it.
Yeah.
Man, fantastic. Well, Nate, your double barrel story there did not disappoint. So thank you, and also just your time with us did not disappoint either, dude. Thank you so much for carving out your time to hang out with us.
Yeah.
Again, two fifth graders who are trying to put together a podcast for dads. We really value your story and your input, your insight, your perspective, dude. We really are grateful.
And I got to tell you guys, I'm so pumped about this that you guys are doing. I'm so proud of you guys, man. This is a great podcast. It's an awesome thing you guys are doing. Any way that I can support, I'm happy to. If you ever have any questions of me, you ever want to talk some more, you know where to find me, and I'll be watching on the other side here. All right.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Well, so any other last words, John or Nate, before we wrap up for tonight?
I don't have anything. Do you have anything, Nate?
I got a mostly empty glass of bourbon, so I'm gonna attend to that.
I'm quite jealous, man. All right. Well, Nate, take care of yourself. Enjoy your weekend, and we will be definitely in touch. So, as I'm sure you have heard multiple times, season 1 ends on Father's Day, and season 2 begins somewhere near the end of August. And we would definitely love to have you be a part of season 2. So
please.
Let's have the communication lines open there. We'll get that figured out, and we'll see
Absolutely.
you on again, man.
All right, fellas.
All right. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
We are so glad that we were able to have Nate Clark on with us. What a fantastic interview. What a fantastic person. What a fantastic dad. Brandon, give me your thoughts.
My hot take on that interview was I wish we would have had him on earlier. What a refreshing personality, refreshing just clarity in just his responses, honest, doesn't hold anything back. But man, he has such a his view on mental health is huge. I love what he talks about in terms of going through your soggy boxes. It's a crappy job going through just the messiness of life, clearing out kind of the storage unit of your heart. But you got to do it so you can move on to bigger and better things. And so, I mean, I spend my days helping people with their soggy boxes. I've never heard of that phrase before, though, and I absolutely love it. I'm stealing it. All right, Nate, I'm stealing soggy boxes. I love it. So it was a great interview, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was one of those situations that I put out feelers on my own personal Facebook page saying, hey, dads, do you want to be on? He didn't even comment on the status. He just messaged me and said, hey, I love what you guys are doing. Let's do this thing. I would love to be on. And then he just started spilling all this information that we could use. Normally, Brandon and I, little inside scoop of Daddyhood Rocks, we stick to 9 to 10 questions, and then we throw in some unscripted every now and again. I could have made 30 to 40 questions out of what Nate was able to just provide me, telling me about his life, telling me, his time in the military, law school, all the stuff in between, the relationship with his father, relationship with his ex-wife, how he's co-parenting. I mean, just everything. So have no fear. I can confidently say that Nate will be back to discuss things more. But man, just such a great interview.
No, without a doubt. And looking forward, man, with all the people that we're inviting back for season 2 and all the extra new people that we're inviting for season 2, I cannot wait to season 2. It's going to be awesome.
Especially if The Rock shows up.
That's right. And Barack Obama,
right.
There's all these great people. So John, I have a question for you. I think we as dads go through our days kind of, just going through our routine, getting this done, doing this, doing that. And all of a sudden we have those moments that it's like the light bulb turns on. It's like, oh, I just realized something. Did you have a moment of realization within the last handful of weeks? Any stories for me?
I'm actually going to go back a little bit further because this revelation is what set me on the course I'm on now. And it's what made me able to see my boys again. It's what repaired that relationship. In 2017, I came out of the Army with a plan to become a doctor. Could have done that. I was getting good grades. But as I was going through planning for med school and what med schools I wanted to go to, and I was planning a life out with the woman who I was in a relationship with at the time. I was planning a life out, and I was realizing my kids weren't a part of that. It was focused so heavily on med school and marrying her and all this stuff. My kids weren't a part of that at all. And so I had to come to the stunning realization that if I don't change what I'm doing, not just mentally, but educationally as well, I was going to further lose my kids. And so I made the decision to switch to nursing. And because of that, I see my boys consistently now. Granted, COVID throws a wrench into things sometimes, but I see them consistently, mostly. And I'm a day away from graduating nursing school and going into a field that I absolutely love. In fact, I now can look back and confidently say I would have not loved being a doctor. I love nursing, and I am so passionate about nursing and bettering the field. If I would not have come to that realization that, hey, I'm going to lose my kids if I continue this path, then I would not be in doing something that I love that I can then share with my kids. Hey, I have a career that I love, and this is what you should always aspire to have. And so that is my moment of revelation.
John, thank you. I mean, I don't get tired of hearing that story because it's beautiful. And you, sir, get an award for that moment and for making that shift. For you, for making that shift that altered your trajectory and impacted your relationship with your kids. you get the Aha Moment Award.
Aha.
Aha.
Well, I am very grateful for the Aha Moment Award. Hey, don't drink my award. I'm thankful, man. I mean, we've said it before. I love these awards. They're fun for us, but the stories also are able to impact our listeners and impact each other. So thank you for the Aha Moment Award. But I hope and pray that somebody does get something out of that story, because it is so important. One, it's important to have that relationship with your kids. If you don't have it now and you're fighting for it, keep up that fight. But two, it's also so important to be happy in what you're doing. That gets lost on men a lot, and I don't mean to just like push off women, but it gets lost on men a lot because we feel like we're supposed to be the providers regardless of our happiness. And it's so incredibly important for our kids to see us happy in what we're doing, because they feed off of our energy. And if our energy isn't good, that comes with not being happy, they feed off of that too in a not so good way. So be happy in what you're doing. And if you're fighting for your kids, keep up that fight, because I promise it's worth it.
And without a doubt, man. Without a doubt. Man, thanks for wrapping up. What just a wonderful episode, and for being part of this journey. I love every moment of it, the roller coasters of it, the frustrations of it, the adventure of it, every single thing about this Daddyhood Rocks podcast. I am so thankful that I get to do it with my best friend. So thanks, John.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we have fun engaging with you, our listeners, as well. And so we've tried to be intentional about engaging in multiple ways. So we have Instagram, we have Twitter, we have Facebook, the Daddyhood Rocks podcast. Look us up. We want to engage with you. We want to speak with you. We want to have conversation with you about life and about daddyhood. And if that means bringing you on the show, so be it. Let's do it. Contact our pages. We'd love to get you on and speak with you about all things daddyhood. So please contact those pages. There's some great things coming up for the Daddyhood Rocks podcast. And they're things that you certainly aren't going to want to miss. And they're going to be huge, big old slapping your face moments from the Daddyhood Rocks podcast. So please, please, please stay engaged with us. Follow us. We're on all major podcast platforms. Please, please, please follow us there. Listen to our podcast there. And then obviously we've got BK Miller. Go to that page. Find our videos if you'd like to watch us. Obviously, who wouldn't want to see these beautiful faces anyway? Follow that page, and then eventually we're going to be switching over. We're going to have a Daddyhood Rocks YouTube eventually as well. But right now, watch us, see our beautiful faces, listen to us on your podcast platforms, re-listen to episodes, whatever you want to do. And just keep engaged with us, because season 1 is coming to a close, but season 2 is going to be awesome, and you're not going to want to miss it. So thank you very much for spending this time with us tonight. You rock, and so does Daddyhood.